So many of our foster youth today are aging out of foster care with absolutely no support. They're being told that when they age out of the foster care system, they're going to be on their own. There's no more caseworker, there's no more anybody to support them. But when you think about it, that doesn't make any sense, right? Because when you aged out of your family, when you turn 19 or whatever the age of majority it is in your state, did you just cut off all relationship with your parents and with your family members? Of course you didn't. You can still come home for Christmas and Thanksgiving, and you always have a family. But the foster youth are being told that when they age out of the foster care system, they will have no more support. So they need to be independent. They need to learn all the things that even 19-year-olds who are in families don't know, so that they can be self-sufficient and they can be independent and they can do all these things on their own. And I think that's just causing a great disservice to foster youth who are aging out of the foster care system. In continuing to celebrate National Adoption Month, I interviewed an incredible young lady. Her name is Angela Quijada-Banks, and she's a foster youth who did not successfully age out of the foster care system. She actually got kicked out. So now she is using her voice to empower foster youth and to teach them how to age out of the foster care system successfully. She also has an incredible message and just information for supporting adults on how they can really help the youth who are in foster care system age out successfully. I can't wait for you to hear her story. Before we get started though, welcome to my channel where you can find the best adoption advice. My name is Lucrece Bundy. I am an adoption lawyer and I help families finalize their adoption. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to be notified when I post a new video every week. So if you've been thinking about adoption from foster care, I actually have a private community on Facebook that's been growing like crazy every single day. And it's my adoption resource and community group where we just share resources with each other, support each other along our adoption journey. Whether you're adopting through foster care or if you're doing a domestic newborn adoption, whatever type of adoption that it is, the group is really meant to support anyone going through the adoption journey. So, I would love for you to be a part of it. Go ahead and check it out. And I am in there doing live videos, answering folks' questions. So I'd love to see you in the group. So my guest today, Angela Quijada-Banks, was gracious enough to let me interview her, and that she was able to tell me her story of going into foster care and aging out of foster care eventually, and just what she's doing now to really help the foster youth. So this is her story.
Yeah, so hi, and thank you for interviewing me today. My name is Angela Quijada-Banks, and today I'm an author, I'm a purpose coach, I'm a podcast host, and I'm the founder of Soulful Liberation. But of course, it didn't start out that way. So foster care. So before I got into foster care, my mother had just abandoned myself and my siblings and my dad. We weren't sure where she was. We thought she was just, I don't know, somewhere, maybe at the grocery store. I don't know. And I guess until the next few days, we realized that maybe she wasn't coming back. Since my mom was gone and my dad worked nights, I then became, the person that had to take on all the responsibilities my mom was supposed to take.
So all of these things were happening in Hella's life at the time, and she describes it as being on and off. Like it will get bad, then maybe it gets better, then it gets bad again, maybe it gets better. And there were just patterns over the years that things were not getting any better. So now she explains the events that actually led up to her and her siblings ending in foster care.
What really sparked foster care was multiple unfortunate situations. I found out that my mom had come back, and things were even, worse than ever because there had already been a reporting of abuse and neglect for 15 years. There was already a recorded reporting. Eventually, basically what happened is that I was in Spanish class and my Spanish teacher kept seeing how I was, which was mute still at school. And I would cry, and he was like, "You need to go to the counselor's office. I'm writing you a note right now." And I did. I went to the counselor's office, and over time, multiple teachers wrote me a note to go to the counselor's office. And I felt more frustrated with myself on like how I wasn't able to hide it anymore, I guess. So yeah, eventually I ended up talking to the counselor, and she she referred me to a social worker at the school.
Mhm.
And the social worker really had to be like real with me because I just kept on fighting everything. Like she would be like, well, you know, we really can help you. We really can support you, but you have to let me know what is going on. And I think a part really wanted to protect my parents as well. Like I didn't want anything bad to happen to them, but I also like what was happening to me and my siblings weren't okay. And so eventually I just, you know, said a little bit of what was going on, which was like, we really weren't eating. Like we had maybe one meal and it was microwave rice. Just a lot of the emotional barriers that were happening and just a lack of love, I would say, throughout the entire time. And that I was sleeping under an air conditioner and all the thoughts that I was trying to deal with on my own. And eventually the social worker just told me that that's all she needed to hear. And she said, do you want me to send someone? And I said, well, I don't know, all this different stuff. And she was like, do you want me to send someone? Do you want this to end? Do you want this to stop? And I said, yes. And that's kind of how everything got started.
As you probably already know, a lot of kids who enter foster care, they're lucky enough to be able to stay with their family members. So there's kinship foster care. And, you know, for those kids where they have safe family members, it's a great idea. But what about those kids whose family members are not safe either? You know, what if the situation going on in their home is the same that they experience in their kinship foster home? Here, Angela tells her story.
Eventually, we ended up going and staying with my aunt and uncle, and ended up not working out. And I, again, had to make a decision. So we ended up getting separated and by gender. And that was probably one of the hardest times in foster care.
So Angela entered foster care when she was 16, and she was in foster care until 20 when she was supposed to age out of the foster care system. Her aging out story is not one that you hear every day.
Yeah, that's the thing, I didn't age out. I was kicked out with a 7-day notice. Essentially, I was 19 going on 20. Right. I was still in foster care. So I signed myself back in. I really had this plan that I was going to be at this school, and then I was going to get my apartment and all these, and I was going to get my car. I got an email from the supervising social workers. And this email was a 7-day notice for me to figure out somewhere else to stay because my foster parent said she didn't feel safe. And
oh my goodness.
Under certain pretenses, I was like hysterically crying because, you know, it was 7-day notice, but I really knew I only had like 3 days. So that way I could get settled enough before my classes in 5 days. So I tried to email her back. She didn't respond. I tried to call that particular division. They said that she was busy. At that point, I just hysterically started crying, and I just like threw my phone, and I just couldn't believe it because I was like, I remember just asking myself, like, what did I do that was so wrong to these people? Like, why do they not care? Why do they not care where I'm going to be, where I'm going to live? Like, they just don't care. Like, wow. And so at that point, I remember just like getting myself together and like looking on Craigslist and trying to find somewhere to stay. That's pretty much what happened with that. My dad actually ended up helping me during that time the most. He was the one who answered my calls. Yeah. And made sure to be available. Even though he had worked the night prior, like I said, he did overnight shifts. Even then, he was still working at Walmart. So he went right after his shift and came to pick me up and like help me pack all my stuff. And I went to this new place that I found on Craigslist.
So after everything that Angela experienced in foster care, and after going through her own healing from the trauma that she experienced through her childhood and through all of these different experiences, she decided to become a positive voice for Black and Brown foster youth all across the U.S. and even across the world.
I started a publishing company specifically to tell stories of Black and Brown youth because there's a lot of intricacies that are layered on top of, you know, poverty, and not just poverty, but like the choosing of poverty. Like, why did my family choose that life?
Yeah.
Because my mom didn't come from that, and my dad did come from poverty, but he came from a very loving home. So just to see, the different things that happened in his life and her life that then brought them to those positions, and it trickles down, and unless people say, no, this is not going to happen anymore, like, we're going to stop all that BS and we're just going to find another way, it can just continue on through generation and generation. It's like, yeah, my mom did this, so that's why I'm like this. And it's like, no, like, but you chose that. You didn't have to do that.
Exactly.
So
she also wrote a book called The Black Foster Youth Handbook, in which she talks about the things that she wished she knew before she before she aged out of foster care. But she also gives so many amazing tips and resources to supporting adults and youth who are in foster care.
Yeah, so as you know, the Black Foster Youth Handbook is 50 plus lessons I learned to successfully age out of foster care and holistically heal. And, one of the main reasons is because of that, because I didn't successfully age out. I was forced to get out of foster care. So this book is specifically to rewind, basically, and, what I wish I would have known, and some things that are really imperative in order for young people mentally to start shifting their mind to what does it really mean to age out? And also the second part is and holistically heal. So beginning that healing process.
So after everything Angela has been through, I asked her what message she has for foster youth right now who may be watching this video, and what message she has as she goes across the United States, as she goes across the world, what she would want foster youth right now to hear.
Yeah, so I would say that you are not alone. There are people and organizations that love and care about you. You don't have to do it alone. Interdependence is more so the key. That was a lie that was told to you, that you need to figure it all by yourself and get your own this and get your own that, and interdependence and self-sufficiency. Like, you should be able to do certain things on your own, but the whole world is not on your shoulders, and the trauma and the pain that you've endured is something that can be healed, and you don't have to live in that for the rest of your life. What you went through when you're younger, or even what you're going through now, is not going to be for the rest of your life. But you do have to be proactive and choose what life you want to live, and start right now to really start focusing on what are the steps that you want to take towards your dream life. What is your dream life? And get really clear on that, and paint it, draw it, sing it, tell your story in the way that really empowers you. Don't allow yourself to feel like everything is just happening to you and you're a victim, and stay in that victim mode, because that's not going to be supportive for you. You're going to feel like everything is just going on and there's nothing you can do. There's always something that you can do. And so, stay empowered in that. See your story as something to stand on. Don't drown in it. It's still going, it's still being written, and you have the power to choose how it ends.
I also asked Angela if she has a message for supporting adults who really want to help the youth in foster care, and who are trying their best, the professionals and the foster parents, and this is what she had to say.
What I would say is that, first, thank you for taking that taking up that opportunity, and it's definitely not an easy choice to make. So I definitely want to say thank you for that. And secondly, this should be looked at as a marathon and not a sprint. And I would also recommend getting therapy during that time as well, because I know that secondhand trauma is a huge thing. And make sure that you're actually in a space where you can support another human being. Especially a human being that's gone through tremendous amounts of adverse childhood experiences. Definitely making sure that you have the support, and that you're continuously taking care of yourself and making time for you.
Now, here again is the new book that Angela wrote that's doing so well right now, and agencies are eating it up, folks are eating it up. Make sure that you grab your copy. I am going to leave a link in the description box so that you can contact Angela. You can find the link to go purchase her book, And, share this video and let everybody that you know about this so that they can get this incredible resource and they can hear from Angela and how she can, continue to be a voice in her community and continuing to be a positive voice for foster youth and supporting adults all across the United States. If you like this video, make sure that you hit that like button, be sure that you subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks for watching. Bye.